Hola, buenos dias. Here this morning talking to you on the Insta360 1RS 1-inch. Now, I've had the camera now for a week and I've been using it quite a lot, being very careful of the lenses, using I've got a cover on it, could be called waterproof, but it's not a dive case. And this lens cap that came with the camera. How am I finding it? Very good. I've used it to photograph in this house, all the bedrooms, 360. And what else? I've done some videos with it on the roof of the car, securely mounted, and shown a 360 video of the surroundings while I'm driving along in a beautiful, quiet part of the countryside. What else can I say about this camera? I think this is the best camera around for 360, if you want to do 360. And I found there's three things really you can do with 360. You can do a 360 virtual reality video, and I have to put a code with that if I upload it to YouTube. A little code that tells YouTube that it's a 360 video. So a viewer, you can go there and you can, with your laptop, you'd use your mouse pad. You can scoot around the video, go up and down, round as you want. But that's going to be quite a lot of megabytes. For example, just a 10-minute ride on the bike on my e-wheel. I can't upload it to YouTube because it's so big. It's 3.5 gigabytes. It just seems to stop at 50%. The other thing you can do is make videos. I did one of a restaurant last weekend, and then you edit it. You point the camera where I just walked around with the camera on me like this. I just went to the bathrooms at the end and then came back again. I didn't want to bother the people. They probably didn't notice what I was doing, or thought it was a bit strange, a guy with a pole and a camera on top of it. Well, it looks like a Mars bar really, but it's obvious it's got lenses there. And then in edit, I moved the camera to look at what I wanted to. I avoid taking photos of people's faces, like the waitresses, and there's a waiter, he doesn't want to be in it. So I edited him out. I actually did that in iMovie later. A lot of people use Final Cut Pro, Adobe, but it's quite expensive. I think it's about 300 euros, and I've already got iMovie. I've had Final Cut Pro before, and it's very similar to iMovie. There's a few more things you can do, but I didn't really use it. And I can do a lot of things in iMovie, which is free with my laptop, Apple. So I edited that video, and you upload it, and it's in 1080p, but it's good quality because you're only taking a section of that 6K 30 frames per second video of 360. You're only taking a small part of it that you're editing, and you do that in 360 Studio. And then of course there's the photos. So going back to that video, that uploaded video, 2 or 3 minutes, was about 500 megabytes. So it's a lot smaller than uploading a virtual reality 360 video. But you can still look around. I could walk around the table now, like this, and later in edit, I can track me. It takes quite a few minutes to do in the software. Or I can just edit the video following me around. Or I could upload this video in VR, which is a lot more, which I tend not to do because they're so big. But it is nice, say you're inside a helicopter or something like that in the mountains. That was one of the first VR videos I saw. And you move your head around and you can look all around inside the helicopter. That was amazing. But it wasn't very good quality. But now this will be much better. That was about 4 or 5 years ago. I was using the Samsung Oculus goggles. And then we've got the photos. So in photos, I can do HDR photos, which I found in settings much better to connect this phone with the small screen. This 360 camera, the 1RS. It's got a smaller screen than the X3, but you don't really need the screen. You can go into my phone, which is the iPhone, put it in the pocket, see, quite a big screen, go into there and see much more, you've got a bigger screen, you can see it all, and go into the Insta app and play around with that. You can set the camera to be auto or manual. Then if you're in manual, then you want to be setting the white balance, the exposure. I tried to do a photo on the roof of my car of lightning at night, but I've overexposed it. I went for like several minutes of exposure, but I just really got a whited out sky. But I tend to use automatic most of the time. We've got pure shot as well, which seems to enhance it. I've also tried it in low light conditions with just normal photo, not with HDR, which I've heard is going to be more sensitive to light. And I found that so, but today I've set the camera on 9 photos in HDR, and I set the EV stops to 1. It was on only a half. So I'm going to get 9 photos, all differing with one stop, up the exposure and down the exposure, and then it puts together a photo of them all, and then you export that to your files wherever you save it. Very important filing with this camera, and giving your files names. Like this is an exported file of the restaurant on that day, and so you know where they all are. When you open your computer and you see all the files that you've got, the SD card in this camera, it's just a massive file. You can imagine you've got 9 files for one photo, hundreds of them, and they're just numbers. You haven't named them. I've tried renaming them, and it doesn't seem to like that on the SD card, but later you can do that. But when you export them, it's important to save them and file them correctly. And I was filling up my computer with the Insta file was about 180 gigabytes, so I've moved that over to my external hard drive. Yeah, camera's good, like it. I knew what it was all about before. I've had the X3. The X3 seems to be a little bit more modern in that you've got HDR and video, and there's little things here and there. It's got a bigger screen, but the lenses are smaller. They're both susceptible to falling on the ground. You know, I've got this tripod now. If you're filming, I had the tripod there, it could easily blow over. And what's it going to fall on? It's going to fall smack on its lens. Looking around at lens protection, I know I've mentioned this before, but I don't seem to be able to find very good lens protection. There's dive cases, and there's some stick-on lenses that Insta sell, which seems to be the best, but they want almost as much to post them to me here in Spain. So I would like to have somewhere protecting the big lenses on this 1 inch. They are big. Each side you've got lenses like that. They're beautiful to look at, with the Leica retina on the top and what it stops down to. So I see that as a possible way of damaging it, and then obviously if you've scratched your lens, I don't know if you can get new lens protectors. I don't know if they're sold, or you have to send it back somewhere if you did scratch the lens. But you just got to be very careful. I've got a box it goes in, so now I've got this protective silicone case on the whole camera. I've got this that goes on the top. It doesn't fit as well because it's got the silicone case on, but it's more waterproof like this, I think. And then I've got an Astucia case, a little case like that with a zip goes in that. And so I am being more overly protective of it for the lenses. But I haven't had any problems yet with it. But I think what can happen if you're using it on a tripod, taking pictures, like I was in a Spanish town outside a church, and I did have one that just blew over, but fortunately it wasn't bad. You can cleaned it out, but you could be careful of that. Have the tripod set up, and it could be a little bit windy. See, it's not like a tripod like that. It's just a pole with a bit of a tripod at the bottom that you could fold up for your hand as well. But it's very useful, this Insta360 stick. What other advice could I give people for it? I've seen in America it's a lot cheaper. With the euro is worth more than the dollar, and I think it's $250 less in America. $799. Here it's 940 euros. Well, if you convert the euros are worth more, and that's what the difference is. You know, you can almost fly to America for that, couldn't you? That's one of the only drawbacks, as I see it. Why are we paying 250 more euros for it? Just because we're not in America. Tax. It's a big tax on things like that. Must be huge on cars. You know, it's a beautiful day here. You can hear the plane in the distance landing at Alicante Airport. The birds are tweeting. They start about 5 a.m. in the morning.